Steve Jobs wasn't just an innovator. He was obsessed with perfection. Every detail, from the curves of the iPhone to the fonts on the Mac, had to be flawless. He believed that excellence isn't just about making things better. It's about making them unforgettable. While others settled for good enough, Jobs demanded more. He pushed boundaries, ignored limits, and created products that changed the world. But here's the real secret. His mindset isn't just for tech geniuses. It's for anyone who refuses to settle. In this video, we'll break down Jobs' obsession with perfection and how you can apply it to your own life. The relentless pursuit of excellence. Why Jobs never settled. Steve Jobs believed that good enough was never good enough. He demanded excellence in everything Apple created, no matter how small the detail. This obsession with perfection wasn't just about making great products. It was about creating experiences that felt magical. Jobs knew that customers might not always notice the details, but they would feel them. And that's what made Apple different. Take the first iPhone as an example. It wasn't rushed to market like most products. Jobs rejected design after design until he saw something truly groundbreaking. He demanded that the screen be made of scratch-resistant glass instead of plastic, even when manufacturers said it was impossible. He insisted on eliminating unnecessary buttons, creating the sleek, minimalist design we now recognize as revolutionary. Jobs' philosophy was simple. If it wasn't the best, it wasn't worth doing. His obsession didn't stop with the hardware. It extended to the software, the user experience, and even the packaging. He once spent weeks perfecting the unboxing experience of Apple products because he knew that first impressions mattered. This level of detail is what made Apple fans feel something special every time they held an iPhone, an iPad, or a Mac. Most people settle. They take shortcuts. They accept good enough. But Jobs refused to do that. He believed that excellence is a mindset, not a result. The world remembers those who go beyond expectations, who push harder when others stop. So ask yourself, where in your life are you settling for less? Whether it's in your work, your creativity, or your personal goals, the difference between average and extraordinary is the willingness to demand more. Jobs proved that perfection isn't about being flawless. It's about never stopping the pursuit of something better. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. The power of minimalism. Steve Jobs had an unusual belief. Simplicity is harder than complexity. Most people think that adding more makes something better, but Jobs knew the opposite was true. The best designs, the best ideas, and the best products are the ones that are stripped down to their purest form. Apple products reflect this philosophy. Look at the iPhone. It has no unnecessary buttons, no cluttered interfaces, no distractions. Every detail is intentional. Jobs famously ordered his engineers to remove the on-screen keyboard and replace it with a revolutionary touch interface. It was a bold move, but it changed the industry forever. This obsession with simplicity wasn't just about design. It was about how Apple functioned as a company. Jobs cut unnecessary product lines, streamlined operations, and made sure that Apple focused on a few things done exceptionally well. Instead of creating dozens of computers like other companies, Apple focused on just a few perfected models. But achieving simplicity isn't easy. Jobs once said, "Simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple." That's why Apple spent years refining its products, removing anything unnecessary until what remained was elegant and effortless. This philosophy applies to more than just technology. It applies to life. The more we clutter our minds with distractions, unnecessary commitments, and overcomplicated goals, the harder it becomes to focus on what truly matters. Jobs teaches us that true genius lies in cutting out the excess and focusing on the essentials. So look at your own life. What can you simplify? Maybe it's your workspace, your schedule, or even your goals. The more you focus on what truly matters, the greater your impact will be. Simplicity isn't just a design principle. It's a way to live with clarity and purpose. Attention to detail. Why every pixel, font, and curve mattered. Steve Jobs didn't just create products. He crafted experiences. Every curve, every font, every pixel on a screen had to be perfect. He believed that greatness is found in the details, even the ones people don't see. One of the most famous examples of his obsession with detail was the first Macintosh computer. Most people would never open the case to see the internal components, but Jobs insisted that the inside be as beautiful as the outside. When an engineer asked why, Jobs replied, "Because you'll know, and that will make all the difference." Jobs' attention to detail shaped every Apple product. The smooth animation of an iPhone screen, the satisfying click of a MacBook trackpad, the way Apple's packaging opens with perfect ease. None of these happened by accident. Jobs demanded absolute precision from his designers and engineers. He would spend weeks adjusting fonts, spacing, and colors until they felt just right. He understood that details shape perception. A small misalignment, an awkward transition, or a slightly off color could ruin the seamless experience he envisioned. This philosophy extended beyond Apple's devices. Jobs obsessed over Apple stores, designing them with minimalist architecture and open spaces to create a unique experience. Even the materials used for store tables had to be perfect. Why? Because details matter. He knew that even though customers might not consciously notice every little refinement, they would feel the difference. That's why walking into an Apple store feels different from walking into any other tech retailer. Most people ignore details because they think they don't matter. But Jobs knew that excellence is built on the smallest things. He saw what others overlooked and demanded perfection where others settled for good enough. And that's what made Apple different. It wasn't just the technology, but the thoughtfulness behind every aspect of the experience. So how can you apply this to your own life? Whether you're designing a product, running a business, or pursuing a passion, the little things separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Pay attention to how you present your work, how you communicate, how you refine your skills. The difference between something good and something unforgettable is often in the smallest, most overlooked details. Jobs left behind a lesson for all of us. Take pride in your work, even in the details no one else sees. Because in the end, it's those details that create something truly exceptional. The reality distortion field. How Jobs pushed boundaries. Steve Jobs had a unique ability. He could make people believe that the impossible was possible. His employees called it the reality distortion field because Jobs refused to accept limits. If someone said something couldn't be done, he would challenge them until they found a way. One of the best examples of this happened when Apple was designing the first iPhone. The engineers initially used a plastic screen, but Jobs hated it. He wanted scratch-proof glass, something that wasn't commonly used for phones at the time. When engineers told him it was unrealistic, Jobs didn't back down. Instead, he called Corning Glass and convinced them to create ultra-strong glass for the iPhone in just a few months. That glass is now known as Gorilla Glass, used in billions of smartphones worldwide. Another famous story comes from the first Macintosh. Jobs wanted it to boot up faster, But engineers said they had already optimized it as much as possible. Instead of accepting their answer, Jobs asked, "If you could save just 10 seconds off the boot time, would it be worth it?" The team agreed. Jobs then made them do the math. If 5 million people used a Mac daily, saving 10 seconds each time would add up to over 300 million saved hours per year. The engineers found a way to make the Mac boot up faster. Jobs saw the world differently. Where others saw limits, he saw opportunities to push further. He believed that constraints were challenges, not excuses. This is what made Apple an innovation powerhouse. If Jobs had accepted what people told him was possible, there would be no iPhone, no Mac, no Apple as we know it today. Think about how often you limit yourself. How many times have you told yourself something is too hard or impossible? Jobs teaches us that most limits are just mental barriers. The truth is, most people don't even try to push past them. But what if you did? What if you challenged what's possible instead of accepting it? The lesson from Jobs is clear. Don't let reality define what you can achieve. Distort reality to fit your vision. If you believe in something strongly enough and refuse to back down, you'll either find a way or create one. How you can apply Jobs' mindset today. Steve Jobs' success wasn't just about technology. It was about thinking differently, demanding excellence, and refusing to accept limits. But here's the important part. His mindset isn't just for CEOs, designers, or engineers. It's for anyone who wants to do meaningful work and create something great. First, never settle for good enough. Whether it's in your work, your business, or your personal growth, always ask yourself, can this be better? Jobs rejected anything that didn't meet his high standards, and that's why Apple products felt different from everything else on the market. Imagine applying this in your own life, whether in your job, your creativity, or even your fitness. Are you truly giving your best, or are you accepting mediocrity? Second, simplify everything. Jobs knew that simplicity isn't just about design. It's about cutting out distractions and focusing on what truly matters. Look at your life. Where are you overcomplicating things? Maybe it's how you set your goals, how you manage your time, or even how you communicate. Jobs eliminated clutter from Apple's products because he understood that clarity creates impact. The same applies to life. Cut out the noise. Focus on the essentials, and you'll achieve more. Next, pay attention to details. Most people overlook small things because they think they don't matter. Jobs knew that excellence is built on details. Whether you're writing an email, presenting an idea, or building a business, the little things, your choice of words, your design, your execution, make the biggest difference. Don't rush through things just to get them done. Slow down, refine, and take pride in your work. Finally, challenge what's possible. Jobs refused to accept limits. When someone said something was impossible, he made them prove it. More often than not, they found a way. Think about your own goals. What's stopping you? Is it a real obstacle or just a mental block? The truth is, most people don't fail because something is impossible. They fail because they don't push hard enough. What if you refused to accept limits? What if you kept going until you found a way? The world is full of people who settle for average, who accept things as they are. But the ones who change the world are those who dare to demand more. Steve Jobs proved that perfection isn't about never making mistakes. It's about refusing to stop until something is truly great. And that's a mindset anyone can adopt. So ask yourself, where can you push harder? What's one thing in your life that you can improve today? Because in the end, The ones who think differently are the ones who make a difference. Steve Jobs wasn't just building products, he was crafting a vision of what perfection could look like. His obsession with excellence, simplicity, and pushing boundaries redefined technology and changed the world. But here's the truth. His mindset isn't just for billionaires or tech geniuses. It's for anyone who refuses to settle for average. The question is, will you challenge yourself to think differently? Will you demand more from your work, your goals, and your life? If you're ready to apply the Apple mindset, start today. Drop a comment, share this with someone who needs it, and remember, excellence is a choice.